Sizibusele kubabukeli beMpuma Kapa TV, baphulaphuli benkqubela. Namhlanje ndinabantu ababaluleke kakhulu. Size kuncokola sithethe ngegqala lomzabalazo elingaziwayo. Njengokuba nisazi into yokuba namaqhawe ethu, indima yethu kukubana siselebreyithe amaqhawe angaziwayo nalityelweyo ngeli xesha lethu. Kule veki pheleyo ngomhla ngoLwesithathu sishiywe inkokheli egama linguPeter Cyril Jones yaseNtshona Koloni, okhokeleyo kumbutho we-BCM, Black Conscious Movement, kwakunye ne-Azapo. Inkokheli ke lena yokugqibela ukubona uBantu Biko phambi kokubana alandulele ihlabathi, awele kwisandla sotshaba. Namhlanje ke ndikukunye no-Dr. Musibudi Mangena, osebenzileyo kunye noPeter Jones, kunye nenkokheli umongameli we-Azapo ngeli thuba lethu, ubawo uNelvis Xakema, umntana womgquba apha eGqeberha. Mandinamkele ke zinkokheli zam apha kwiMpuma Kapa TV, kule platform yamaqhawe ethu. Ndibulele kwakhona kuba nina soloko ngalo lonke ixesha nesiphoxe xa sinicela, noba sinicela ngomzuzu wokugqibela nisoloko nilungele ukuzoncokola nathi. Siyayibulela ke loo ndima, ndithi mandiyithethe kwangoku singekaRhaxwa yincoko esizoba nayo. Bawumangena ndicela ubulise abaphulaphuli nababukeli, ulandelwe nguwe Mtika.
Ndiyabulisa ke kunonke niza kumamela niphulaphule kule program. Mina ndingumSibudi Mangena, ndithetha nisePolokwane eLimpopo.
Enkosi, wamkelekile eMpuma Kapa.
Ndibonise ukuthi ndibonise ukuthi ndandijongile idecoder yam apha, ingathi ile nto le i-signal is not very strong. I suspect into yakwenza this load shedding that we are facing presently.
Uvela kakuhle kuthi kweli cala lethu. Enkosi kakhulu ba. Mandinikele kuwe Mtika, wazale.
Ndiyakhahlela bawumanene, kananjalo sicama kusha kuba phulaphuli kwakunye nababukeli. Enkosi.
Enkosi kakhulu, ndibulela nasegameni labaqhawe ethu kunye nababukeli ngale ndima niyithathayo. Njengoba besenikhanganyile ngaphambili into yoba namhlanje sizobhiyoza okanye sizoncokola ngobomi bukabawo uPisi. Ndizawucela ke bawumangena nanjengamntu oligqala apha phakathi kwethu, ukhusiphe imvelaphi ngabawo uPisi apha emzabalazweni, uthi caphu nje ngaye.
Well, thank you very much. IsiXhosa sam siyaqhwalela, so I'll probably most of the time talk in English. And Zankolela again. I didn't meet him when he got active to the extent that he was known. I was either in prison or in exile. But he was born in Cape Town, and he went to Gordon High School in Somerset West, where he matriculated in 1967. And he then went to the University of the Western Cape, where I think Comrade Nelvis Xakema also attended that university. But of course, because he has already said he's a youngster, so when Peter Jones was the Probably he was not yet an idea at the time. So in 1969, he joined SASO and attended various conferences that were held by this organization, to the extent that he was amongst those who made SASO and Black consciousness very popular in the Western Cape. When Nelvis Tekema and his generation came in to join the Black consciousness movement, and later, of course, Azasco, which was a descendant or a successor of SASO, people like Peter Jones had already laid the groundwork at that university. And in 1972, he was amongst those who helped to establish the Black People's Convention in the Western Cape, especially around Cape Town. He became a treasurer of that branch, and at another time, he was an organizer of the BPC branch in that area. Said around 1977, Biko was already banned and restricted to King Williamstown, and he invited Peter Jones, with whom they were very close friends at the time, to come and join him in the Eastern Cape to work particularly in community development programs that Biko himself was involved in. There were cottage industries inside the Cape Town, the King Williamstown CBD, and of course there was Zanempi Clinic in Zinyoka village. So he wanted Peter to come and join him, and Peter agreed, and he went to join Biko in the work that they were doing in community development. This was a very strong element of the Black consciousness movement at the time, to get Black people to do things for themselves, to organize and develop confidence in themselves and their abilities to change their own circumstances. So without hesitation, Peter Cyril Jones relocated to the Eastern Cape. And of course, we know that they decided, as a result of the thinking that was taking place within the BC movement, that it is important that liberation movements should unite. This we were doing both on Robben Island, that is those of us who were on Robben Island, those who were inside the country, and those who were in exile, to contact the older liberation movements to see if we cannot become one movement in one form or another, so that we can confront the enemy that was facing us much more powerfully as a united people. So it turned out that on the 17th of August, they set off from King Williamstown to Cape Town to go and meet the unity movement, the new unity movement led by Neville Alexander at the time. And it didn't work out as they had expected, and the general environment and whatever was going around them, was happening around them, told them that apparently they were being observed, and the enemy was tipped. The enemy was aware that they were in that environment. So on the 18th, they decided to drive back to King Williamstown, just the two of them. And as it turned out, they were arrested at a roadblock near Makhanda, and they were separated, and they were beaten up, they were tortured, and Biko was beaten to the extent that he died in the manner in which he had died. I thought I was not going into that because today we're talking about Peter Jones. So after his release, Peter Jones was banned and restricted to Cape Town. And of course, he did not even attend the funeral of his comrade and friend, Bantu Biko. I think he didn't even know for a number of days that his comrade and friend has been murdered in prison in the manner that he did. But on his release, he jumped right back into the struggle for freedom. He joined AZAPO because the PPC, SASO, the Black community programs for which he worked had been banned. But then he joined AZAPO to the extent that at a certain point, he was vice president of AZAPO. At another time, he was the treasurer of AZAPO. And of course, later on, as he had always been inclined to do so, he joined various initiatives in the Western Cape to help people with community development. He fought alongside communities that were being denied access to the sea for fishing and so on. They were not being given permits, or they were being restricted. And even if they had permits, they were being harassed in as far as activities related to fishing for Black communities in Western Cape was involved. So he did that. He threw his soul and all his energies in helping the communities in as far as this is concerned. That's why then that later on, he joined other BC stalwarts, such as Monelo, George Bongo, Kenneth Rachidi, in their campaign, and Pandelani Nefolobobe, in their campaign to develop rural communities in the Eastern Cape, and especially in the OR district, OR Tambo district of the Eastern Cape, helping the communities through an organization called ISBAI to be self-sufficient in food production and to come together so that they can maximize their efforts in growing food so that they are self-sufficient, but also in looking after their health as far as TB and what is the other disease now that is so HIV in those communities. And those communities were indeed very cooperative, and they became self-sufficient in as far as food production is concerned. And some of them even graduated into commercial farming, from subsistence farming to commercial farming. And so this work he did until he fell ill in the manner in which he did. He suffered a stroke that disabled him for a number of years. And finally, he succumbed to several of these strokes and passed away a few days ago.
Oh, thank you, Bauma Ngena. Wow, this is quite a very, very much interesting information that we are getting today. Bauqakema, can you share your experiences in relation to all these activities that Uba Mangena has just shared with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I met Comrade Peter Jones in the early 1980s. So I've been with him. I work alongside him as a young understudy, political understudy. At some stage, I also happened to have the honor to work with him in the various structures of AZAPO. That is an experience that spans about 40 decades together with him. As has been explained by Ndati Mangena, I was based at the University of the Western Cape for my studies, and during that time, that even brought me much closer to him. Now, he is a completely selfless person. He did not live for himself. He was so altruistic that he donated and dedicated his entire life to his people. And that is why you see, for instance, as has been mentioned, that you would see that he believed in the basic tenets of the Black consciousness philosophy, which had to do with self-reliance. So the people you could not be waging a struggle, a liberation struggle against the enemy and still be dependent on the enemy, for your livelihood, including in terms of food sovereignty. You cannot be fed by your enemy. You needed to be independent. You needed to be self-reliant. And that is why you saw them doing those kind of things. Because I think they were aware. Once an oppressed person, becomes reliable on the enemy, for their stomach, also there are chances there of selling out. There are chances there of being co-opted. So you can see that by so doing, getting involved in these self-help projects or community development projects, what they were trying to do, they were trying to restore a self-assertiveness in the people, self-reliance in the people, self-initiative in the people, but most importantly, by so doing, they were introducing the elements and the values in the people, where the people they would become. In fact, they would have their humanity restored. They would have their dignity restored, because now you are no longer dependent on your enemy. You could see yourself as a human being in your own right. And so it was that you found that if you look back in the mid-1980s, for instance, during the feud and then the displacements that took place during that time, there was a community in Paarl, community of Mbekweni, which was thoroughly affected by the black-on-black violence during that point in time. And those people were so displaced, some of them ran towards Cape Town, Khayelitsha, Gugulethu, all those type of places. And Peter Jones had the presence of mind to say, to stand up and then use some of his community development projects like Masi Fundise Development Trust, where he was able to identify a land in Side B in Khayelitsha, and some of those people were found the land space there, and then Comrade Peter made it a point that building material was organized for those people to be able to live there. Now, you don't get it in many other people. Remember, we're talking about a person who is an accountant, a BCom graduate, a person who is working in big companies, a person who is relatively well-to-do, so to speak, but here is a person who's sacrificing all those things, thinking about his own people.
Thank you very much, Kokeli. You've said quite a mouthful practical examples. One wonders what has gone wrong. One wonders when at the Peter Jones in our time.
So Peter was quite a lovely soul, a human being for the people. You notice, for instance, that if somebody like Steve Biko could have confidence in Peter Jones, it tells you something. Tarimangena explained how at some stage Biko felt that, look, there is a Peter Jones in the Western Cape. Let me invite him to come and stay with me in King Williamstown, a port. Makaze azohlala nam asebenze nam. And Peter Jones could be useful to Biko because Peter Jones is an accountant, somebody who knows, how to run businesses, somebody who knows how to deal with crowdfunding, funding of businesses, self-initiatives, and so forth. So there is a reason why Peter Jones could come down. But I'm just emphasizing the point that Biko as intelligent as he was, as vigilant as he was, but he had Peter Jones in mind to come and work with him. But look at this again. When he decided he wanted to travel to the Western Cape, he thought of nobody else but again Peter Jones. And during that time, Biko was under a betting order, but he could trust Peter Jones with his life. And they traveled together, and then they came back. And then Peter Jones was driving that car in which Biko was traveling. And then when they were arrested, and in fact, it worries us as AZAPO because just last year, on the 18th of August, on the date on which they were arrested at a roadblock in Makhanda, we had a silent protest there as AZAPO and an engaging government to build a monument at that spot. And that spot is just less than less than 5 meters from a colonial monument, the only one about which Grahamstown or Makhanda is known or remembered, when in fact there is a revolutionary monument that has not been built there, a revolutionary monument that is invisible there in Makhanda, just adjacent the colonial monument. And as we were making the point that that spot in Makhanda is a spot of the genesis of Matayadom, because that's where they were arrested. So these are the kind of points that we're emphasizing. A year later, we are still waiting for a response from government.
Thank you, Mongameli. As you have mentioned, that this was a selfless person that we're talking about today, and one wonders, where is that selfless? Where have that selflessness gone to? Ukuzincama, ukuzinikela edabini labantu. Umuntu ngethathe isigqibo sento okubana hayi uyazazi ubhenishiwe, you are not supposed to be moving around, but he went on and drove with Steve Biko. Indeed, we need to monumentalize that. We need to recognize, we need to shout about this unsung hero in recognition of his role in the struggle and continued to be, as Uba Mangena has mentioned, that he was still in OR, very active, pushing the same program that Steve Biko left, that of self-reliance, that of where farmers went from subsistence farming, to commercial farmers. You've mentioned that he was a vice president. He was a treasurer in the Western Cape as well as nationally. As an organization, as a person who is organizationally, in terms of all the pre-band organization as well as Azapo, Baumangena, can you come in uthi vandla nje organizationally?
Yes.
Zange kuhle mali ngamlenze.
Yeah, both organizationally and in other ways. And as a people that have attained what we call democracy, we need to recognize the fact that we were not only oppressed physically as Black people, but particularly as Africans, we were also oppressed psychologically. And that oppression said to us that we are nothing, that we are inferior, that we can't do anything for ourselves, that we can't help ourselves, and that other people can do things for us. And the involvement of Peter Jones and Steve Biko, Mampela Rampele, and others in community development programs was to break this psychological feeling of inferiority by Black people that said we can't do anything for ourselves, that we are helpless. So, and in 1994, when democracy happened, we seem to have retreated. We have told Black people that they can't do anything for themselves, that the government will do things for you. Go and sit down and relax, and the government will do everything for you. And that's a problem because now poverty is increasing, helplessness is increasing, inequality is increasing, also in as far as participation in the things that will develop us as a people have also disappeared. Imagine if as a people in agriculture, in health, in education, we still go out to help our own people. We take ownership of the schools in our communities, and we make sure that those schools are running properly, that they've got computers, that they've got desks, enough of them. Yes, the government should come in with the necessary paraphernalia that are required in running an education system. But we as a people, as communities, should not sit back and do nothing about our clinics, about our roads, about our schools, and that we own them and we make sure that our children get a good education. We will be very, very far by now. But the problem is that we are so psychologically damaged that even the schools that we have, we are not only not helping them to succeed, but we break into them. And we steal the chairs, we steal the computers if there are computers in those schools, and take those chairs and go and use them in shebeens and so on. That indicates that we are damaged to a great extent, that we would go to the extent of stealing from our own kids, because those chairs and the food that is stored there for school feeding that we steal is supposed to be for our children. We steal from our own children. So what Peter Jones and Steve Biko and them stood for, which was for the development of a Black person as a totality, not only physically, but psychologically, is lost, and we need to recover that. And imagine if all our people in rural areas, I went there, I've gone to rural areas in Limpopo, in the Eastern Cape, in the Free State, and so on. People have got land. It is small, yes, but they could be eking out a subsistence, a living out of those lands. But instead of, say, keeping chickens, keeping pigs, and plowing the land, they would rather wait for social grants and use those social grants to buy chicken necks and chicken feet and gizzards and things like, when they can keep chickens and sheep and goats and be able to support themselves with that. So I'm saying that the work that they were doing is far from finished. And in fact, we are far back now than we were then, because now we have got the government in our hands, and that government should be helping us to plow and to develop other businesses that will keep us afloat, rather than us just sitting back and saying that the government should do everything for us. In fact, our society is more unequal now than it was in 1994 when the so-called democracy happened. And that happens because the government is not helping us as it should, to the extent that it should, but we also are not helping ourselves. So in our organizations, political organizations, but also social, non-governmental organizations, we should be doing a lot to pull ourselves as a people out of poverty and out of this inequality that people are talking about. So that's where I am at this point. And as Comrade Nelvis Prakema was saying right now, that some of us are in our 70s, where I'm just 6 years older than Peter Jones. We're more or less the same age with Steve Biko and so forth. We are going. And as we are going, we worry about what is going to happen to future generations, to Black people. After they've overthrown settler colonialism, they've overthrown apartheid, but they have not overthrown racism, because the whites have checked and they have found that we are wanting, that we are not as strong psychologically and politically as we ought to be, to such an extent that they can now continue with their racism and with the oppression of Black people in the economic and cultural spheres. That's where I am at the moment.
Thank you. Thank you. As you were telling us, Omangena, that this is the role that they have played to prove that we need to be self-reliant, stop relying on social grants and unemployment grants, demands, stop banning our streets, our facilities, and stealing from them. Agema, you have inherited an organization. You are now the president, and you inherited this organization from Abo Comrade PC. What type of an organization have you inherited, if I may ask it from that type of a question? Have you received a strong, financially sound, and so forth organization? And goes.
Thank you very much. Mandihlakulele ngokuthi namhlanje sikhumbula iqhawe, namhlanje sikhumbula uXholovane, uPopolo, namhlanje sikhumbula uMpondo zihlanjiwe. Uke wathi xa uqala ukuthetha wathi he is an unsung hero, iqhawe elilityelweyo. okanye igorha elilityelweyo, kodwa ndingamthembisa ukubana eli igorha ligorha lingalityelwanga ngabantu, ligorha elikhunjulwayo ngabantu, because it is only selfish people who use a ladder, go up the ladder, and then once they are up there, they kick the ladder away and they forget about it. But the people never forget about that ladder. Because Peter Jones can never be forgotten, because Peter Jones is an instrument through which this freedom and this democracy that we're in today was built with. They gave us, as young people in Azapo, a very strong organization, an organization that is known the world over as an organization that is rich in intellectuality. It is an organization that is a thought leader. It is an organization you come to for ideas, fresh ideas, constructive and developmental ideas, liberating ideas. There is Azapo. It is recognized as such an idea. It is a critical organization that is never scared to call a spade a spade. But it is also a difficult organization because it is a highly principled organization. An organization that is not prepared to swerve or veer from its principle. As a result of that, it is never an organization that has lots of money. It is an organization that depends on its members when it comes to money. And that is the reason why you don't find it so much in the legislatures, because the people who've got the money, the people who kept the money away from Black people, are the people who fund our organization, and they choose which organization they fund. And Azapo is not one of those. And so, as Azapo, we are now saying we will remember a PC, and we'll make sure he will never be forgotten. For instance, just this coming weekend on Sunday, we will be organizing a memorial service in Soweto, here in Johannesburg, Gauteng. And on the 4th of March, we are organizing his funeral in Cape Town. We've also engaged the state as Azapo, engaging the state to offer and honor Comrade Peter Jones with a state funeral. We're still waiting for government to respond there too. But we will always ensure that Peter Jones is never forgotten. He is a marvelous person, like I said. For instance, even though he was educated himself, like I said, an accountant, and then living well, so to speak, and relatively speaking, but he still was involved in the education of Black people, poor people, particularly in the Western Cape, organizing bursaries for them, sending them to school. And then you have people who are still alive in Azapo, who ended up joining Azapo, like comrades Louisa Sijaji, Wezi Wedwengu. Those are some of the young people, many of them who benefited from the resources that Peter Jones organized for Black people to ensure that they pursue their education. But because through education, that's how you can also escape poverty. That's also how you can also pursue the struggle and the liberation struggle.
Thank you, President Azapo. As you've mentioned, that he has left a strong organization intellectually. He made sure it grows, as well as there were no khathakhatha zezinto ezingakhange zibe ziyabonakala. Akayityangi imali abantu, akekho corrupt. He's a leader. In the next few minutes to round up, which is not enough, I'd like you, Baumangena, to just round up and say a few words to our viewers. How do we emulate? How do we stretch this hero, this Eligorha? Singenza njani ukuze sifane nalo? Uyavalelisa kolo hlobo ixesha leMpuma Kapa.
all I can say is that we have no business being poor in this country. Our country is fertile. It's got rich soil in different geographical areas. We can plant different things. We can keep different animals and so on. There is no reason why we should be hungry, why there should be people who go to bed hungry. We have no business being poor in this country. And we have no business having children who have no education or people who are too sick and so on. We are rich. We have got the intellectual capacity as well as traditions of people who have given themselves to service of the nation, of our people, and so on. You can go back, go and start with our martyrs from different parts of the country, who's Kukune, or Magana, or Mama. Those are people who loved their country and their people. They were patriotic and they worked for their people. And then came the others like Nelson Mandela, Sobukwe, and then Steve Biko and Peter Jones and people like that who worked for the nation. If only the majority of us can work for one another, wherever we are, whether it is in a ward, in a village, in a community, and so forth, we do the small things right. Make sure we don't litter our streets. We don't throw rubbish where we stay. I was last there in Gqeberha, in KwaZakhele, and near a hall, and there was rubbish everywhere. But that's where we stay. It is our place. It is our home. And we should ensure that that rubbish is thrown into bins. And we should ensure that the municipality collects that rubbish. And if they don't, we should make sure they do, because it is they are paid by us. They are our servants, and so on. And we should make sure that the streets are tired and that where we stay, it's proper, that our children are brought up in an environment that is sustaining. And so all I'm saying is that Steve Biko, Peter Cyril Jones, and many others did what they did because they loved themselves and they loved their people. And that let us do so now. And with having taken state power in our hands, we shouldn't be as poor as we are, and we ought to be a great people that build a great country that we can all be proud of. Thank you very much.
Enkosi kakhulu Bawumangena. President, you've mentioned that on Sunday, the 26th of this month, there will be a memorial service in Joburg and the funeral. In your closing, please give us proper details and just over to you.
Thank you very much. Like I said, we are organizing a memorial service this coming Sunday on the 26th February, and then on the 4th March in Cape Town, it will be the funeral and the send-off. So it becomes therefore important that as we do this, we understand that if we wanted to remember and recognize and in fact perpetuate the legacy of Peter Jones, as a people, we do all we can to clean the politics of this country. Politics of this country is dirty, and in fact, it is run in mafia style. Look what is happening in Gqeberha every day. People dying, people being killed, Amapara involved, Amaginza involved. These kind of things have to happen, and every day councillors are killed for no apparent reason other than that people want to take that space. That has to stop. Thank you.
Yabulela Mongameli, ndiyabulela bawumangena. Thank you very much. Amaqhawe ethu nababukeli beMpuma Kapa TV, abaphulaphuli benkqubela, nabaxhasi bale nkqubo. Bathi mandibulele ngazo zozibini kuni. Sithe nkosi ngale mbali ibaluleke kangaka netyebe kangaka ngobomi bukaPeter Cyril Jones, iqhawe lamaqhawe, umfeli wenkululeko. Siyabulela kakhulu ke ngale nkxaso yenu nosoloko nisabela ngalo lonke ixesha. Elinye lamalungu ethu libalisa imbali ngoPeter Cyril Jones okokubana zangakwazi nokuya emngcwabeni, wava ngabo ababevalelwe eAlgoa Park Police Station into yobana uswelekile ubawo uBiko, sengcwatywe nokungcwatywa. Babe bona bebebanjelwe okuba babeye emngcwabeni kabawo uBiko. Le qhawe sithetha ngalo namhlanje, uButmonde Mdishwa is one of the people that have told him into yobana akasekho ubawo uBiko. Wathuka, uthi xa ibalisa kwavakala isilence engumangaliso eziseleni. Masilibulele ke lithuba nani nisityebisele ngale nkokheli. Enkosi kakhulu nangamso.
Mazanethole.